Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Hearing God moment. Come on in, get settled. I'm going to go live on TikTok here. Better turn off the audio on my computer. Come on in. Love it if you just let me know where you're joining from. Make sure you get really comfortable, and if you want a cup of coffee, grab that. We're going to go in just a few minutes into our Hearing God moment this morning. Turn on my lights. Sometimes they're just a little bright, aren't they? Let's go live on TikTok. Yeah, let me know where you're joining from. So glad to have you here this morning. So yeah, if you're able in the chat on YouTube to let me know where you're joining from, that would be awesome. Good morning, TikTok. Let me straighten up TikTok just a little bit here. Well, happy Maundy Thursday of Holy Week. Yeah. That's traditionally the name of Thursday, the traditional name of Thursday, Maundy Thursday. And it means, it's from a Latin word called mandatum. Mandatum, my Latin's not very good. And it means the day Jesus gave the mandate. And the mandate was, I still feel like I'm not quite straight here on TikTok. The mandate was, this is my commandment, that you love one another. What's going on with my unit here? There we go. Good morning, Deborah. Good to see you in San Ramon on YouTube. You guys joining on TikTok. Just find a space where you're going to be really comfortable. If there's any problems with my sound or anything, let me know. Yeah. Glad you're here this morning. We call this our Hearing God moment, and it's my version of sort of group meditation together, guided meditation. And I do it through the prism of what I call hearing God. It is a connection of our souls together and connecting to heaven. You don't have to be a Christian. You don't have to actually believe in God as I traditionally see God from my life. You just have to be willing to be together with a bunch of other people who are saying, hey, let's connect together and let's connect to something supernatural that brings the love of heaven to us. So I'd love it if you let me know where you're joining from. And we'll get started in just a moment. Just make sure you're really comfortable. Temperature's good, all of that stuff. So yeah, I'll do my video on TikTok today and on YouTube of Maundy Thursday. It was really a significant day in Holy Week. A lot of big stuff happened on Thursday. And I just woke up today thinking about this fact from Holy Week, or this part of the story, is that Jesus awakened on Thursday morning of Holy Week, and he would never go to sleep again until he was dead on Friday afternoon. Hi, Cleveland, Ohio. Think about that. What a grueling day he had. So he did teaching in the temple, then went to have Passover supper with his disciples. And the beautiful thing of that story is he says, man, I just couldn't wait to have Passover supper with you guys. This is what I've really been looking forward to. And it just shows me the story of a God. Sorry, my dog is having some digestive issues in the background. I don't know if you can hear it. Of a God who loves relationship and who loves us being in relationship. Hi from California. So I've been looking forward to this time being with you guys today. Hope my dog's okay in there. Doing a little bit of heaving. All right. So glad you guys are with me on this beautiful Thursday morning. For some of you, for everybody, it's morning, I think, unless you're joining me from somewhere internationally. Hi, Kentucky. Glad you're with me on TikTok. So, yeah. So we're going to have a time of just focusing our sort of life energy on connecting to one another. And you say, well, how can I do that when I'm just looking at my device? I'm just seeing names scroll on a page. That's some of why my wife and I love to ask where you're joining from, because it just gives us a better sense of you being a person rather than a screen name. But once we sort of know we're in a space that's safe and with people that want to connect their hearts and spirits together, then that spirit can sort of become bigger than this container of our body. Hi, Indianapolis. And then we can connect with those other ones. I'm that liberal SB from Oklahoma. I don't know what SB is, but original Hebrew Israelites will reclaim that throne. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means, but hi, Maryland. So I'm probably not going to go into questions right now. Today is about hearing God together. Oh, Southern Baptist from Oklahoma. Okay. All right. So are you in a comfortable spot? So just get a feel before we start, or as we start, I should say, of what does your spirit feel like when you know you're connected, not just living as this container of a body, but understanding your spirit, that you are more than just your physical being and what this outer flesh looks like, but you are a being that is a soul, that is eternal, that is mystical, that is bigger than the world, that is connected with something outside ourselves. So can you sit and sense that? Just sense with a deep breath what it feels like to be an eternal being, which is what your soul is. It's the eternal part of you. So just sense yourself as that spiritual being. And then just sense that spirit going out and connecting with those names on the screen, or other people around, or even the people in your oikos, in your household, which is your sphere of influence. How can my spirit be connected to something outside myself today? So I'm going to read a passage from the Bible. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to look around my phone here to see it. This is from the book of Lamentations, which is ironically a lament. It is a groaning. Sometimes our spirits groan like, oh, I'm reaching out for something with my spirit. It's a lament. I'm I'm working through this pain to get to what I'm supposed to be feeling. And it's hard for us as Americans. We don't like lament. We think lament is bad. We should be happy all the time. If we're feeling melancholy or sad, well, let's binge Netflix, or let's get some food, or let's grab a glass of wine. And any of that in and of itself is not bad, but feeling lament is a part of life. Sadness is a legitimate emotion. Now, despair, discouragement, those are when we're going to an unhealthy level of sadness, and we need help to work through those things sometimes. But sadness, there are times we should be sad and allow ourselves to feel sad, because it is a legitimate human emotion that we're built to feel. My favorite team lost that game. I'm sad. It's to say I'm not sad, I'm joyous all the time. I'm always a Christian happy because God's with me, then we're in denial of a true emotion of our spirit. So lamenting is a legitimate human exercise. So Lamentations chapter 3 says, because of the Lord's faithful love, we do not perish. For God's mercies never end. They're new every morning. Great is the faithfulness of God. I say, the Lord is my portion, therefore I will put my hope in God. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the person who seeks him. It is good to wait quietly for the salvation from the Lord. Thank you for the gift, Graham. It is good for a man to bear the yoke while he is still young. Let him sit alone and be silent, for God has disciplined him, or that word has laid a burden on him. Let him put his mouth in the dust. Perhaps there is still hope. Let him offer his cheek to the one who would strike him. Let him be filled with disgrace, for the Lord will not reject us forever. Even if he causes suffering, he will show compassion. And that's talking about God in a patriarchal he version, but you can see God as God feels safe and acceptable and accepting to you. For God does not enjoy bringing affliction or suffering on mankind. So what does all that mean? It is a lament, and written by a human being in a particular time and culture. When difficulties came, they would say, that's an act of God. God is putting torment on me, so I'm going to lay down in the dirt with my face so I can feel what I'm feeling. I can feel my lament and lean into the discipline of God and wait for his salvation. Now, I think this is a human perspective of God and assigning everything that happens in life to God, when in fact, it's just written from a human perspective of I'm feeling sad, and so I'm going to say God is putting a heavy burden on me, and I'm going to wait for his salvation. And that word salvation is not getting saved so I can go to heaven, praying a sinner's prayer. It's a Hebrew term for restoration to wholeness. I'm going to wait and be disciplined through this time of lament and feel my feelings. That's personified by, I'll lay down in the dust so I don't miss this chance to feel my lament, so that I can wait. And waiting is not meaning like sit and do nothing. Wait means an active waiting period of, I'm going to discipline myself to wait, to feel, to have expectation of something better coming, so that I can feel my feelings. You know what feeling your feelings is? It's being a human being. It's really important to feel what we're feeling, not try to deny our feelings or like, oh, I'm sad and people aren't going to want me to be sad. They're not going to like me when I'm lamenting. So I'm going to get over it really quick. I'm going to use Christian denial and say, oh, but the blessings of the Lord. Yes, we sit in our lament and say, the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. God's mercies never come to an end. But I'm going to lean into the pain. I'm even going to offer my cheek to the one who wants to strike me in the face because I want to feel my human emotions so I can be human. So we join our spirits together. Just sit and feel your spirit and say, I want to feel what I'm feeling this morning. Some of you may not be in a time of lament. And so you may be like, I'm just going to sit and feel peace today. That's great. But some may say, I'm in a hard time, COVID, and some of us have had our income threatened, and some of us have even had family members get very ill, and some have even passed away. And even now in my spirit, I feel the sorrow of that loss. I haven't had that sorrow of sickness or death in my immediate circle, but I feel the lament of that in my spirit as I connect my spirit with yours this morning. And some of you are like, yes, I've lost greatly in this season. So we're going to feel that pain together. Some are struggling because they lost their job and the check they're getting from the government isn't quite enough to cover their needs. Our daughter had a car accident, and while I can feel the blessing of her being okay, I still feel the trauma of just that fear of knowing your car has hit another car, and oh my goodness, what is that going to mean in my life? And I sit with that and say, I'm going to wait here in that sense so I can process that trauma through and it not continue to impact my life. And remember that I can be restored by God's salvation, by my processing to wholeness with my spirit connected from earth to heaven. So take a deep breath, breathe it in through your nose and out from your chest out. Feel your spirit today. I would really encourage you guys not to have too much discussion in the comments section, about the trials of the world. Let's feel the lament of our lives. And now is not a time to feel the trials of the world. This is a time that we get our own introspection, our own self-view in place so that we can impact the trials of the world. If we're not having a moment to stop and care for ourselves, sometimes looking at the trials of the world is actually a cover from feeling what's going on with ourselves. And so we'll say, well, what about this or that? What about this horrible thing happening out there? And it's actually a cover to, I don't want to be self-actualized today and really start looking deep inside myself. But knowing ourself and our identity and being connected to that is a big part of being able to change those things out there. It's like, what do they say in the airplane when they're telling you, if that oxygen mask comes down, what do? You put your mask on first. You don't help somebody else with theirs, because if you lose capacity for yourself, you're going to lose all capacity to help others. Jesus said, love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And so if you don't love yourself, it eclipses your capacity to love others. So let's just feel me today. What am I feeling in connection with heaven? Feel your spirit. Feel what's happening inside. Is your spirit lamenting today? Do you feel something in your core, in your gut that says, oh, I'm just a little weary. I'm just a little sad. I'm just a little at peace, and revel in that feeling of peace. Okay. So now close your eyes. Picture yourself. If you've done this with me before when we started last week, picture yourself in that safe place. Where is a safe place in your life? Think through childhood or young adulthood. Where was the place you would go that you would find solace and safety? And in your spirit, in your imagination, just go there now and sit. What does it look like? What's that place? For me, that place is a diving board we had on a pond in our backyard when I was 12 or so. And I would go sit on the diving board and just be alone and look at the water, lay down, look at the clouds, feel the wind on my face. It was a place where I could feel and think and be. Where's that place for you? Go there in your imagination, in your spirit. Go to that place now and sit. Some of you may say, I can't really do that. My imagination's not a safe place, and that's okay. Then you can just sit quietly and breathe and feel right in your chair. Because sometimes trauma does take away our ability to go into our imagination and feel safe. That's why I think go, if you can, to that safest place you can imagine as a kid. So now in my guided meditation, we sit with God. For some of you, God may be a hard concept, a scary concept, even an angry concept, but picture being able to sit with a God that has a soft face, is like the kindest, most safe, least threatening figure you can imagine, whatever that looks like for you. For some, it might be a really wonderful father. For some, it might be an uncle that loved you unconditionally. For some, it may be an aunt, a school teacher, somebody that gave you peace. For some of you, it may be God as God himself, the creator being. For some, it may be God as a feminine spirit. Whatever that safe God looks like to you, can you just invite God to sit with you in your safe place in your imagination? Yeah. Picture what God looks like to you in that imagination and sitting with God. Feel the breeze on your face if you're outside, or if you're inside, smell the smells of that place. Just feel yourself there. Let your spirit expand outside your body and live in that moment. Sitting with that really safe version of God with you. and look at the face of God. A God that says you were created well and you are good. Whoever told you that you weren't good along the way, whether it be a parent, a teacher, an instructor, some authority person, a pastor, a Sunday school teacher who said you're dirt and a sinful being, I tell you that you are not. That is a bad theological construct that's been handed down. You are good. God created you. You were formed in the cosmos. And that creative spirit looked at you and said, it is good what has been done here to create you, fearfully and wonderfully made. And you are pleasing to the Lord. You're like a wonderful daughter whose dad delights in her dancing. You're a wonderful son whose dad delights in his laughter. If you're transgender, you're a wonderful day. If that's your choice of pronoun, who God approves of completely and wholly. If you're not even sure of what gender pronoun that would be for you, the Lord says you are good. Okay. So now that you're sitting with a God that fully affirms and approves of you, I want you to ask that God, what do you think about me? And let me just say, before you ask that question of God in your spirit, in your imagination, if what comes back is do better, be better, you shouldn't have done that, you shouldn't have done this, I'm disappointed because of this, dismiss that. That's not from heaven today. The message for you today is an edifying message, affirming who you are in connection with heaven and with the spirits of everybody who's here, who's with you. You are amazing. So ask now, God, what do you think about me? What do you think about me? And again, let's stay inside right now. Let's not worry about what's happening with those outside of us today. This is a time for you to build you up so that you can then be a resource for others. Sorry, my alarm just went off on my phone. So God, what do you think of me? And just wait and listen today. Can you hear God? Can you see the face of God looking down on you with love and saying to you good things about you? If you're struggling to hear, that's okay. Just sit with a feeling of being with a God that affirms you. Sometimes it's a little bit hard. I understand. Yeah. If you're comfortable, ask God What do I need to know today? What do I need to know about my life? What insight from heaven can I receive today? You are connected into a supernatural soul connection, a power grid of the universe. And wisdom from heaven can come when we quiet ourselves, when we wait for the salvation of the Lord and listen. So if you weren't able to hear from God, see God, be safe sitting with God today, that's okay. I pray blessing and wholeness, shalom over you right now. It's okay. You're not less than, you're not broken. We're all in a process and a journey. So if you did hear from God, just say thanks. Say thanks and ask God, can I come back here and be with you again whenever I want? Can I come back when I'm not on TikTok with Pastor Paul or YouTube with Pastor Paul? Can I come back and be with you? See what God would say. Yeah. So I bless you to join in your spirit, in your imagination with God whenever you feel the need to connect with heaven. I'm not doing this to keep you coming back here once a week and doing this with me. I want you to learn and grow in the ability to connect your spirit with heaven and with others. Another deep breath. Yeah. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What did you hear from heaven today? Thank you for that gift. Jesus, AF, no cap. I wonder what that means. So what did you hear from heaven today? Love for you to share it in the comments on YouTube or TikTok and just let me know. So what God said to me, this happening says you're good. Wow. I hope that was affirming for you. No cap means no lie. Okay. Thank you. I came in too late to do it. Okay. Well, you can do it right now. Just go in your imagination to a safe space and sit with God as God looks affirming and safe to you and say, what do you think about me? To be, to dream, to believe. I love that. I heard God say that he loves me. Thanks for not leaving. Thanks for asking me not to leave. You guys are amazing. I heard that we are all connected and are all made with the same stardust. Beautiful. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could all understand our connection with one another? For those of you that may have struggled to find a safe place in your spirit or see God or hear God, sometimes that can be like we're rattled from the day or just something's taking us off track. Sometimes it can mean there's some unprocessed pain or trauma that is keeping us from feeling safe to go into that imagination and so there may be some healing to be done. My household has been too distracting for me to get into this. I totally get it. Once you really practice this a lot, and certainly, I mean, you can even do this while driving with your eyes open. You heard that okay, who is this? I heard that I'm beautiful. I struggle with my self-worth. So that was really emotional. You are beautiful. You are beautiful. And whoever or whatever told you that you're not, today, to me, this is what hell is. I take that and I put it into hellfire. And hellfire is not this eternal damnation punishment place. It is the place where something is put into the fire and purified. The fire symbolized by the young men going into the fire in the book of Daniel, and their bondages, their ropes were burned off. They came out not even smelling like smoke, but the ropes that had them tied and bound were burned off. And so I say, that thing that tells you and has told you you're not beautiful, I put it into the fires of Hades so that everything that is a lie from this world will be burned off, and the truth of your identity will come back to you purified. My hint is to remember a child pet you love unconditionally. That's how much God loves us times 1,000. That's a good way to do it. Yeah, I need to be with others and have been lonely living alone during the pandemic. I only hear my own thoughts. Oh, Graham, thank you for sharing that. I'm glad we're able to connect through social media to continue to create food, art yard projects. This is how God speaks to me, to create. I love that. Rosie, your creative being is being released. You heard that he's so proud of me. Yeah. God is proud of you, and so am I, and our spirits connected react with joy at you hearing that the Creator is proud of you. Anybody else? What did you hear from God today? I love God's sense of humor. We see it in the inchworm and in the platypus, in the penguin. I connected to the statement you made about love and beingness. We are human beings, not human doings. We are not defined by what we do. We are defined by the fact that we exist and are human. We are defined by our emotions. So to deny our emotions is to not live the fullness of humanity. And generally, if we're denying our emotions, it's because there's pain that we're trying to avoid. And some of that is greatly caused by trauma of our life. And if you find yourself struggling to have imagination or go into that place, or even if you find yourself living in imagination all the time and having a hard time sensing the reality of emotion, it could be there's some unprocessed trauma that needs to be worked through with a therapist. And I would recommend doing it with a therapist, not a pastor or a friend. I mean, certainly friends and pastors are people you talk to get a sense of self and unlock some things. But sometimes it takes somebody who's really well trained to help us work these things through. I actually just went to my therapist last week. It had been a couple of years since I've been there, but I realized there were just some things piling up again that I needed to work through. Anybody else want to share what they heard in their quiet time with God today in their safe space? So let me tell you one more thing I do each day is I have what I call an I am statement. In my Evernote, I have what my daily affirmations, and I have an I am statement. And I read this to myself every day. I do a course. In fact, I'm going to start making just this particular course available, but I do coaching. And if you're interested in me helping you with this, we can work out a program together. It takes a strong man to make that statement, to realize the limitations of religion. I respect that, Pastor Paul. Yeah. This idea of read your Bible and pray and it's all going to be okay is just, I don't think that's the fullness of living a human life. And Jesus said, I came to bring life, abundant life to the full. And if we're denying, thank you, Andrea Cox and Graham Nicole, for the gifts there. If we're denying our humanity and our feelings, we're not living an abundant life. So I'm going to just read my I am statement that I read over myself every day, so you guys can get a feel of what it's like to affirm yourself. So I like this process of sitting, feeling, what am I feeling? Let my spirit start to, I call it, come outside of myself. My spirit becomes bigger than my human container, and I sit with my emotions. I wait for the salvation of God, the wholeness of God to come. And then I like to tell I like to hear from God. What do I have to know today? By the way, I meant to tell you guys. So one of the things God said to me today was, I'm really proud of how you've learned to take the barbs and scorn from people and be okay and not hate them for doing it. That's been a learning and growing process for me. So that even makes me a little emotional as I think about God saying that to me. Look both ways, as my pastor did that in December. It triggered a lot of PTSD, but God led me to TikTok pastors to heal. So yeah, we speak healing over you, to feel the pain of that. And that, because that PTSD, what it becomes is like, that's the danger. I have to avoid emotions because I'm going to face that situation again, and my amygdala is going to kick in and my fists are going to come up spiritually. I'm going to protect myself. And we have to learn to say, no, I can be safe in those spaces. That's what my coaching is all about, so that I can fulfill my purpose and destiny in life. So here's my I am statement, and maybe it can help you think about crafting something to say over yourself on a regular basis, if not a daily basis, to just inspire and affirm yourself. So my I am statement is, I am a person whose life goal is to foster the success on those whom I have influence, of those on whom I have influence. I am a healthy person who cares for my physical body as well as my spiritual and mental well-being. I am a good husband who loves my wife honestly and passionately. I am a good father who loves my children honestly and unconditionally. I am a good son to my mentors and to those whom I give place to speak into my life. I am a lover of people and thus courageously speak with honesty, so I never carry a secret agenda in my relationships. I am integrous, character-filled, and display an ability to care about people whenever possible. I am a person who carries excellence and a strong work ethic. I get things done in order to fulfill my destiny of success. I am a learner on a never-ending quest to be transformed by the renewing of my mind. I am a unique carrier of a beautiful and powerful message of the true story of God's love for people and for culture. My voice matters in our culture. I am a person who positively impacts people with transformative affirmation, and thus I positively impact the transformation of culture. I am a leader in a movement of transformation that will impact my city, region, state, and all of the world. So that is my daily declaration I make over myself. What would you say over yourself today? Who are you? And let that be affirmed from heaven every day. And if your I am statement is, I am not good enough, Who is that? I wish I could read that name. A.V. Kearney. I always use pre-written affirmations. Maybe I need to craft my own. This is wonderful, Paul. I would encourage you to. Wonder if I can link to it. Send me a DM and I'll tell you how you can find my I am statement online and some tips on how to build your own I am statement. I am still a work in progress. Yeah. So I love that because yes, we're always growing and learning. That's why I say I'm always learning and being transformed by the renewing of my mind. But here's the thing. Sometimes a work in progress is me telling myself I'm not good enough. Someday I won't be a work in progress anymore and I'll be good enough. So I just want to make sure, I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong, but make sure that there's not a place out there where like, okay, now I've arrived. I'm not a work in progress anymore. The truth is right where you are is good and where you're supposed to be. And yes, you're a work in progress, but you're also really, really good just as you are. So yes, continue to be transformed by learning and growing and having a growth mindset. But also sit with yourself and say, but I'm also good just as I am. Life is truly a journey, not a destination. Hebrews 11 is this list of amazing people of faith. And at the end of the chapter, it has Moses and Enoch and Rahab and all these people. And at the end of the chapter, it says, these people didn't see the fulfillment of their promise on earth. And I've always read that and thought, God, that's not fair. Moses didn't get to go into the promised land. What a ripoff. But that's because I was looking at life through a very finite filter of being a place where I'm going to a destination. But it's not, it's a journey that's taking me from one place to another, to another, to another. And that includes even death being a step to another part of our journey. Why would we fear death? The Bible says death has been overcome. It's like the old hymn, come as you are, but they don't tell you that it's every minute. Christianity tells you there's a destination. You get to holiness and wholeness, and then ultimately heaven, where it'll be like, yes, I've made it. Nurse something 415 says, I'm so glad I caught you live. I just want you to know you've made such a difference in my faith. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. You are seen, loved, and enough. Yes, you are. Molly Turn B862. We are on a journey. There isn't an arrival point where we say, yes, I made it. And now I can just sit and be perfect. We memorialize moments. I did this really well today. I'm going to put that on the shelf of my core being and remember the next time I'm challenged. Like, it's what my I am statement does for me. It says, I've done well in the past and I will do well again today in this section. You guys are awesome. All right. Anything else? I'm going to take a bite of my breakfast, which is sitting here. We can eat breakfast together. Deborah, I'm so glad you joined on YouTube. All you guys on YouTube, it looks like we've got about a few people watching now. By the way, now I'm trying to talk while I'm eating. Switch to YouTube to help this platform. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Jamie. Jamie's one of my patrons on my Patreon page. You're awesome. So happy Maundy Thursday, everyone. This is Maundy Thursday. Impress your friends by telling them happy Maundy Thursday. And I used to hear that and think, Monday, Thursday, what is that? It's Maundy, Maundy. And it means mandate Thursday. It's from a Latin term. It's the mandate of Jesus. This is my command, that you love one another. It's Jesus giving his mandate to us. Come on, did I spell it right? Maundy. Love one another as I love you. Is today the day Jesus would have been tried? No, that's on Good Friday. So yeah, I'm going to do my videos. I hope you guys have seen the videos I've done so far. Yesterday was Spy Wednesday. I really loved that one. I don't think many people got to watch it because YouTube is shadow banning me, but yesterday was Spy Thursday, and I talked about why Judas betrayed Jesus, because he had a religious mindset, very much like the evangelical mindset in America today. So I was saying earlier, like Jesus woke up on Thursday of Holy Week and never went back to sleep. He did not sleep all night. So what we have happening on Maundy Thursday is teaching in the temple. Are they on this TikTok or the swearing one? They're on this TikTok. I decided to stick with this page and just persevere through, because I don't want to build up another page and have TikTok squash me again. A.V. Kearney says, I love the Spy Wednesday TikTok. That was so cool. Never heard of that before. Yeah, Judas thought he was going to spur Jesus into overthrowing the government and putting him in charge, basically his people and his religion in charge. And that's what evangelicals want today, isn't it? They want Christianity and, let's be honest, white people to be in charge of the country. So on Thursday, on Maundy Thursday, so Jesus taught in the temple, and then he went and had Passover, the Passover dinner with his disciples. We know that as the Last Supper. The very famous painting comes from that. Yeah. Deborah says, Mandate Thursday. I want to connect with that. I've never heard of that. I always learn something new, and I'm so thankful. Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate your friendship. When I was more mainline evangelical, I never learned any of this stuff. Yeah, Avi, we just get so stuck in the story. We want God to be in charge of this country. Yeah, we do, don't we? We think that God wants us. Hi, Gary. We think God wants us to put a theocratic government in place, but that's not God's goal at all. And that's what Judas thought as well. Can you imagine the vibe of that Last Supper? Yeah, I don't think the disciples were fully in touch with what was going on. Jesus somebody had asked, when did Jesus know he was going to die? And that's a great question. We don't really have an indication of that. I ought to go look that up. I started to say something and I'm not sure I totally know. That's a great question. We know that he said he was going to go to Jerusalem to die. And Peter said, no, you're not going to do that. Stop saying that. That's when he told Peter, get behind me, Satan. Which I really love that passage, because that's in Matthew 16. And at the start of that passage, you have Jesus saying, who do people say that I am? Well, they say you're Elijah or a prophet. And he says, who do you say that I am? And Peter says, you're the Christ, the Son of God. And Jesus goes, Peter, you're so awesome. You heard that from heaven. You're amazing. Wow, Peter. And then just a few verses later, he's saying, Peter, get behind me, Satan. But you know what's beautiful about that is then we go right to Matthew 17, which is the transformation of Jesus, the transfiguration of Jesus on the mountain. And you know who's there with Jesus when that happens? Peter is there. So sometimes when we realize we made a mistake, that doesn't mean we're bad and rejected by God. He may say, stop that. And then he still says, but you're still in my inner circle. You're still freaking amazing. So, yeah, so I keep distracting myself. So, yes, they had the Last Supper together. And yeah, I think that was that, Jesus said, one of you is going to betray me. And they all, were told, they asked, is it I? Is it I? I don't think it was like Jesus stopped. One of you is going to betray me. Is it me? Is it me? Is it me? They were having conversation through the night. And I think many of them were just asking, I think that's poetic some. I think they were probably like, what do you mean, Jesus? What do you mean? And in their heart, they were asking, shoot, I hope it's not me. And even that he would say, whoever dips in this bowl with me will betray me. And then there's sort of like this moment where he looks at Judas. And again, remember, the Bible is poetic and it's written long after the fact, telling a story. So I really don't believe like Jesus dips his bread and Judas goes, whoop, caught me. I guess I better get out of here. That's not how it worked. Otherwise, the disciples would have known, they would have tackled him and not let him out of the room. They were just human beings living. And he's like, whoever dips in my bowl. And I think what Jesus was saying, that even wasn't necessarily saying it's Judas. He was saying, I'm going to be betrayed by all of you guys. One of you is going to turn me over to the Romans, but all of you are going to betray me. We're all going to betray our truth in ourselves. So yeah, then also on Thursday, then Jesus goes to the garden called Gethsemane. And there's this, it's just an amazing story that if you ever wonder, was Jesus human? My God, he was in such pain knowing what is coming. And I think part of why he knew what was coming is because he interacted with God on a regular basis in his quiet time, but also on that Transfiguration mountain. Remember, the story is Elijah and Moses were there, and Jesus had a conversation with Elijah and Moses. And so I've always sort of imagined that Elijah and Moses were getting Jesus prepared for what was coming. They were saying, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard, but it's going to be worth it. So I think Jesus knew he was in for a really rough ride. And so it says that he prayed and he concentrated and he said, what he was saying, let this cup pass from me. What he was saying was, God, I don't want to do this. Isn't there another way that I don't have to face the worst of humanity? But what he symbolized was God, the creator of the universe, saying, no, I will take the worst that humanity has to give me so the world can know that the spirit of heaven is empathetic to the plight and the difficulty of daily humanness. So when you pray, you can know that God has experienced the worst of the human life. And it was so awful that it made Jesus cry, oh, I don't want to do this, Father. Take this cup from me. Surely there's another way to go. And he was in such agony, imagining what was coming. It said he sweat drops of blood, like blood came out of the pores of his forehead. He was in such despair. And he turned to his buddies, and they're passed out asleep. And he's like, man, you guys couldn't even hang with me at this hard time. Jesus never went back to sleep. Soon after midnight, then that's when Judas would show up with the soldiers, and then we would be into Good Friday. Now, the days are a little bit difficult in this, mind you, because the Hebrew day started at sundown. The American Western day starts at midnight. Their day started at sundown. So sometimes we don't know exactly what day of the week these things happen, but I think it's really fair to imagine this in the construct of our clock. So yeah, just after midnight, the Roman soldiers came, and then Jesus would go to multiple trials in the Sanhedrin of his Jewish people and the Roman court of Pontius Pilate. And then the same people who had said Hosanna to him the previous Sunday were now saying crucify him. I hadn't thought about that. Interesting about the time. Jamie says, how could we share the gospel if we live in a theological state? It just wouldn't work the way Christians think. Deborah says, the in-between moments of Holy Week, the story between the words, so rich. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to have to let you go. I have to do my job. Thank you for being with me today. I hope this is helpful. And for those of you who maybe came in late and missed part of it, you can go to the Pastor Paul YouTube channel and watch it back there. Okay. Happy Holy Week to you. Happy Maundy Thursday. Yeah, you're welcome, guys. And you repay me with your friendship. You repay me by following my page, subscribing to my YouTube channel, sharing my stuff. It's a joy. It's an honor to share this time with you. Yeah, Kristen, even without nap time, you made it. Awesome. Yeah, you can go back and watch that on my YouTube channel. And anytime like you're struggling and need a quiet moment, just go pull it up on YouTube again. Have a blessed day. I'll check out the mandate Thursday, says Jamie. Yep. Happy Holy Week. Happy Maundy Thursday to you all. And remember, you are good, magnificently created by the Most High God. Don't let anybody or anything inside of you tell you differently, okay?